The dictionary definition for this word is the desire to do something, especially something wrong. Hi, I'm J.P. Spees, and this is Show Your Faith. It's a podcast to encourage us to live our lives in a way that points people to Jesus. The Bible defines this word as an invitation to sin stemming from one's own evil desires, but it is not sin itself. Now, the word being defined here is temptation. Keep in mind that the Bible teaches that God does not tempt anyone with evil, but we are tempted when we're dragged down by our own evil desire and enticed. Yeah, temptation is the struggle between the desires of the flesh and the will of God. New Life Ministries put out a devotional some time ago reminding us to be self-controlled and alert. 1 Peter 5 states, "Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that your brothers throughout the world are undergoing the same kind of sufferings." It's inevitable. Today, you and I will be tempted by somebody or something. In fact, we'll probably be tempted lots of times. Why? Because we live in a world that's filled with temptations and addictions that are intended to lead us far, far away from God. In fact, the times that we're living in today, temptations are now completely woven into the fabric of everyday life. Seductive images are everywhere. Subtle messages tell us that it's okay to sin just a little. And to make matters even worse, society doesn't just seem to endorse godlessness, it actually seems to reward it, throwing out a wide range of messages, all of which imply that it's okay to rebel against God. Well, as believers, you and I should know that these messages, of course, are extremely dangerous and completely untrue. So, how can you and I stand up against society's tidal wave of temptations? Well, we can start by learning to direct our thoughts and our eyes towards things that are pleasing to God, and by relying upon Him to help us stay focused on things that are honorable, just, pure, lovely, and commendable, just like it says in Philippians 4. And here's the good news. God promises. He doesn't imply or suggest or insinuate. He promises that with His help, you and I can resist every single temptation that we're faced with. Once you and I firmly decide to stand up to temptation, we're never alone. God is always with us, and as we do our part, He does His. But what exactly is our part? Well, a good starting point is simply to learn how to recognize the subtle and not so subtle temptations that are around us. The images of immorality are everywhere, and they're intended to hijack our minds, our hearts, our pocketbook, our life, and our soul. So we need to make sure that we don't let them do that. We can ask ourselves important questions. What images, people, or places are we likely to come across today that might encourage us to think impure thoughts? And how will we prepare ourselves to respond to those temptations? Corrie ten Boom once said, "The first step on the way to victory is to recognize the enemy." James chapter 1 states, "A man is tempted to do wrong when he lets himself be led by what his bad thoughts tell him to do." James 1 also states, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." 1 Corinthians, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." Hebrews chapter 2, "Because He Himself was tested in suffering, He is able to help those who are being tested." After hearing a sermon several years ago, I learned a very powerful and helpful tool to use based off Scripture when questionable thoughts enter my mind, I really hope it can be a helpful tool for you as well. So when I begin to think a thought or thoughts that I know are wrong, I simply stop and pray, Lord, please help take captive any thoughts that do not bring you glory. The scripture this comes from is 2 Corinthians 10, which states, "We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." The bottom line here is, with the temptations that you and I will face each day, we have to prepare ourselves by recognizing the enemy, or temptation, and ask God for help, knowing and trusting that He promises to help us. And when we do that, we are showing God our faith in Him.